Sins of the Past, Chapter 26. Related Warriors, Eternal Nightmares, and Lady Deadly Cedar's Retribution. Finally, the 20 minutes are up and to get the suits ready. Configurations are set. The liquid metal has given the example and completed to be exercised accordingly. Nightmare and Cedar make their presence known. Nightmare has a different attitude, and Cedar follows. Eternal Nightmare says, "Give me access to your tablet." Lady Deadly Cedar says, "Why? What are you up to this time?" Eternal Nightmare says, "Just trust me." They interlink and combine configurations on their military suits. Nightmare had an idea to combine the red military suits with some new orders given. Eternal Nightmare says, "Now put them on the ground for a moment." Both tablets are on the ground with a voice command recognition. Eternal Nightmare says, "Create Nightmare and Cedar project." Voice command operator says, "Confirmed, applying all changes requested." Then the suits materializes. Eternal Nightmare says, "Put these on quickly before we lose them from our sights." They both quickly put on their upgraded military suits. Eternal Nightmare says, "Create signature weapons." Voice command operator says, "Confirmed, launching configurations to your request." Upgraded weapons materializes. As they pick up their weapons, Nightmare has her combination of a rocket launcher that has a reading signatures so that it locks on targets with a bang, topped off with only the top part of a skull. The other feature it has rapid-fire machine gun with the speed of a turret gun. Cedar has her combination of a bow and arrow likeness with a surprise of set temperature-seeking missiles for arrows. The other benefit has a machine gun rapid fire. Eternal Nightmare says, "Get ready, Cedar. Now we make up for lost time." Lady Deadly Cedar says, "I'm right behind you." Then a message comes to her attention from the red military regime from the tablet combination. Red military chief Master Op says out loud, well, it doesn't say that, but I mean, if you can read this, this means that he's kind of like yelling it. And it's big capital letters when you guys see this at some point. Okay, he says, "I need the okay to fire at will. Can anyone hear me?" Nightmare thinks for a moment. Eternal Nightmare says, "Fire at will." Red military chief Master Op says, "Okay, man, you heard it. Fire at those motherfuckers." You can hear the gunfire from a distance. The related warriors hear the gunfire and stop and realize there is something strange. Nightmare and Cedar get ready to have their backs against the wall out of sight. Lady Deadly Cedar says, "Why did you say fire at will?" Eternal Nightmare says, "The soldiers sounded bored. Thought I'd give them something to do." Lady Deadly Cedar says, "Good idea. It'll keep them off us." Eternal Nightmare says, "Exactly." Then Nightmare leans to the left, revealing her head to see where they stood. She brings her weapon to add attention to their area. Eternal Nightmare says, "Die, bitches!" Ha 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 ha. She fires at them with no remorse at all. Cedar watches a little bit to see how the related warriors react. They dodge and take cover. Red Shadow Military says, "So we meet again, Nightmare," shouting at each other from their distances. She stops. Eternal Nightmare says, "Yes, I want you to meet your maker." She fires some more with a crazed attitude. Lady Deadly Cedar says, "I want you to stay away from Lebanon." She fires her machine gun part of her weapon, then stops to see if she hit any of them. Shadow Angel Death says, "Cedar, you're still alive." Lady Deadly Cedar says, "Yes, and well, thank you. Why don't you be so kind and accept your deaths with no problems?" Shadow Angel Death says, "I can't do that at the moment." Eternal Nightmare says, "Eat my bullets of rage and desire." She fires more from her signature weapon. While at a distance from their side of the battleground, they talk amongst themselves. Red Shadow Military says, "I can't believe this. We have to deal with a lot of enemies all at one time, it seems like." Shadow Angel Death says, "Not entirely. We have to get out of here." As the machine gun repeats from Nightmare and Cedar off and on, Red Shadow Military says, "Why? Let's get this over with and eliminate them from our list already." Shadow Angel Death says, "We can't. There are too many law enforcement from local and from the United States." Red Shadow Military says, I don't want to see them later in the future." Shadow Angel Death says, "Don't worry. First we have to pay a visit to my lover boy back at his headquarters." Red Shadow Military says, now you want to go visit your boyfriend? Can it wait time? One moment. Red Shadow Military says, now you want to visit your boyfriend. Can it wait, damn it? Shadow Angel of Death says, you heard him earlier. He wants the president's blueprints for his aircraft that can travel in space. Red Shadow Military says, so do they, up behind us, firing at us, mind you. Nightmare is getting impatient. I grow weary of their cowardice. Lady Deadly Cedar says, I got it taken care of. Lady Cedar turns from her side of the wall over to the right of her shoulder to see if they are visible. Nothing yet, so she estimates where they might be at. Lady Deadly Cedar says, I need you to talk to them so I can pinpoint their location. Eternal Nightmare says, hey, why don't we come to an agreement, the both of you? Red Shadow Military says, what is it you suggest? Eternal Nightmare says, how about an alliance? You don't get harmed and we live as well. Lady Deadly Cedar says, almost got them. Keep talking. Eternal Nightmare says, yes, an alliance to put aside our differences. We have a war going on. What to do? We have a war going on. What do you say? I'm sorry to repeat that because it says Eternal Nightmare says Nightmare says, yes, an alliance to put aside our differences. We have a war going on. What do you say? Shadow Angel of Death says, you don't believe in that bullshit that comes out from your mouth from the other end that ranches. Lady Deadly Cedar says, got them. She fires her Supreme Cedar missile towards their direction. A big explosion blasts its way through the rubble. Nightmare follows behind her with her rocket launcher, side of her weapon. She says, die! She laughs in a crazed high from the excitement. Sins of the Past, Chapter 27, Related Warriors, Evasion from Retribution. After the second big explosion, clouds from the rocket launcher and the missiles clear up. Then Red Shadow looks over and notices his cousins on the ground. What looks like she had been knocked out from the explosion. He's grateful that he became aware of what has happened. His ears are ringing and slightly disoriented. He makes his way towards her. Shots are fired when the clouds disappeared. He was almost close enough to move her. He brings out his weapon, which changes from a sword to a sickle-like weapon. The blade curves sharply, and the handle had a surprise with a very strong chain. He spins it around to cover himself and his cousin from the shots fired. And blocking the incoming rain of bullets, he moves his cousin accordingly to take cover and waits a moment to see if she comes out what seems like a coma. Eternal Nightmare says, well, Cedar, we got one of them. They fire constantly in hopes they get the other. Red Shadow Military says, what's the matter, you two bitches? You can't kill us both at one time? Continuing shouting at one another from their distances, Eternal Nightmare says, oh, shut your mouth and let me concentrate on what to say and do on your funeral. She laughs in her crazed attitude. Red Shadow tries to wake up his cousin. Red Shadow Military says, wake up, you're not leaving me alone just yet. He tries to wake her up lightly. It's not working. He checks the pulse. She's alive but knocked out. Red Shadow reports to their master. Shadow Order says, what's going on over there? Their communication improved. Their suit can bring all calls and have the ability to talk as being right there in person from their mask itself. Red Shadow Military says, I think we need to get back to headquarters immediately. Shadow Order says, understood. Be ready in a few moments for me to lock on your position. Eternal Nightmare says, looks like your partner there got my message from her other end of my mouth that matches. She fires more with her crazed laugh. Red Shadow Military says, Master, please hurry, he says among himself. The Lady Deadly Cedar says, hey you, I got something for you to plant your tulips on. She laughs crazily herself. She fires 3 missiles again. Before they touch the spot where they were at, their master teleported them back to headquarters. While the smoke clears, they both notice not much could have survived. Eternal Nightmare says, says, yes, we did it. Lady Deadly Cedar says, there's no way they could have survived that impact. Eternal Nightmare says, yes, as you can see, nothing is left. Lady Deadly Cedar says, how will we show proof of what that they died by our hands? Nightmare looks around and sees a floating camera that was witnessing everything. Eternal Nightmare says, get our tablets, I got an idea. Cedar grabs their combined tablets from the floor, passes to Nightmare along the way. Lady Deadly Cedar says, what's next? Eternal Nightmare says, watch and learn. She configures the camera to come their way. Cedar hides her face from it. Eternal Nightmare says, don't worry your pretty little head on this one. The camera gives her an exclusive what has happened. Eternal Nightmare says, well, I see we could have been caught if it wasn't for my way of thinking. Lady Deadly Cedar says, that had us on camera? After uncovering her face from the camera, Eternal Nightmare says, yes. No more. Take a look. They both see what looked like their deaths from Cedar's missiles. Lady Deadly Cedar says, let's celebrate. With a smile of confidence, Nightmare joins with the mutual feeling. Eternal Nightmare says, yes, let's celebrate the deaths of the related warriors. Lady Deadly Cedar says, no publicity. Eternal Nightmare says, why not? Lady Deadly Cedar says, let's report it back to Roulette. Eternal Nightmare says, speaking of him, where did he go, I wonder? Lady Deadly Cedar says, what do you think? Back to his headquarters, of course. Eternal Nightmare says, let's go over there and make a surprise visit. Eternal Nightmare calls her transportation by her tablet. They are both transported back to their quarters to shower in their victory and relax a little before the next confrontation with Roulette.